Welcome back to Warzone Workshop. Oh, wait. Let me just adjust this thing a little bit. That better? There we go. Hi, welcome back to Warzone Workshop. Today, gonna be talking about some stuff that I already recorded. I just didn't talk during it because I had fans running and it's really hot inside this studio because I don't have air conditioning in the studio. But I'm just gonna be messing around with my Echo One M14 EBR Combat Master. Well, you enjoyed this video on how I fixed an Echo One XCR. And also talking about different preventative measures you can do just to keep your gun running. Because this gun's been going for 4 years. And then it just crapped out because it got dirty on the inside. And all it needed was to be cleaned out and it was good to go again. Of course, the hop-up rubber that I changed in the video, that thing was... ugh. But when you're getting a budget gun, normally the hop-up unit is going to be pretty terrible. After that, check out some of the other videos on my channel. I did a review on this thing a while back. This thing is gorgeous. Beautiful AEG. My Echo One. Definitely a solid platform for a DMR. The M14. If that's not your style, you can always go with an SVD. This is actually a King Arms SVD right here. It's got semi and full auto. It's on a selector underneath, right in front of the trigger. No, not a lot of people know that about it. So it turns heads when you go onto a field and flip it to full auto.
Hello, today we're going to be taking apart this Echo One XCR and we're going to be doing some maintenance to it. The motor on it blew out entirely, so I'm going to be switching it. You'll see me taking the motor in and out a bunch of times. It's because I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to go with a KWA motor or a classic Army motor. I end up going with a KWA high torque motor because I just prefer it a little bit more. But this is the problem I'm having with the gun. It's having weird cycling problems, firing full auto on semi-auto and stuff like that. And a lot of these problems are just the gun being dirty on the inside. It gets grime and buildup on the parts, on the gears and the piston, and it causes all sorts of problems. It's just like real firearms, jamming and stuff not fitting properly messes up everything, and it's all on grime and buildup of metal filings and little pieces of dirt and dust that get into the gun, and of course there's lubricant in the gun which makes everything sticky, and then of course all the dirt and grease and whatnot acts together. Check out how filthy this thing is. Oh my goodness, it's so disgusting. And I mean, the grease is good. You know, you want to put grease and oils, you know, where they're supposed to be. But once they start getting grime mixed with it, it just becomes kind of like a mud. And it, in a well-tuned, efficiently running machine, it's just not good to have mud in it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all of these parts and then put it all back together again. Yeah, that needs to be cleaned. All I'm going to do is wipe it all down with paper towel and put it together. Now, check out these gears. These gears are in great shape considering this gun's been used on and off for about 4 years now. Doing pretty good on these gears. None of the teeth are busted, none of them are ground down. They're all looking pretty consistently worn on all sides that interact. Of course, some of the parts just never wear out, like that one. But consistently, it's all just grimy. So there we go, real quick. It was literally that quick. I just wiped everything off with a paper towel, and now I'm gonna do a loose fit, put everything together with a couple screws, put it back into the gun, and then I'll take it back apart if it's, you know, shooting properly, and put the rest of the screws in. It just makes it so that if I have to take the shell apart again, I'm not having to take that many screws apart. It's just a little bit quicker. But when I put it all back together, it works perfectly. And of course, this is me going back and forth on which motor I'm going to use. I end up going with the KWA motor, and then adjusting its motor height. Motor height's another thing we'll talk about in this video. Here's me swapping that yellow disgusting hop-up rubber with this nice purplish blue one. I think it's a Lilacs one. I could be wrong. It was just in a drawer with a bunch of other ones, so I went and threw it in. I'm just fixing this gun for a friend, and I got it firing and cycling properly. Here's now a close-up view of the gear that your motor interacts with, and this is where your motor height comes in. You gotta have the motor set so that it interacts with this specific gear perfectly. Otherwise, all the shimming and stuff that we'll get into in later videos doesn't matter at all. It'll mess up everything if the motor height isn't perfect, because when power goes from your battery through your wiring to the motor, the first thing it does is move that gear. Alright, so motor height adjustment. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and I'll go ahead and explain what I'm talking about with this visual right here. So imagine that this is your motor in the pistol grip, or wherever it happens to be on the replica, interacting with that first gear in the sequence. You want the teeth of the gear to match perfectly to the motor teeth. You don't want it to be too far out, you don't want it to be too far in, you want it to be right on the edge, so that all the teeth are getting the most surface area possible without the motor being pressed too far in or being too far out. If they're too far out, you're not getting the right surface area, and it'll cause all sorts of wear and tear on the gun. And if it's too far in, it'll end up binding, and it'll cause all sorts of interference with the gearbox, and it'll fail to run properly. And then, of course, go ahead and lubricate your gears with whatever gear grease you decide to use, and that's it.
And anyway, I'll see you next time in the war zone. And if that's not your style, I got an oh gosh, what company are you?